We are joined by Dr Adrienne Rivlin, partner at L.E.K Consulting. Adrienne, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Good to be here.
Well, thank you. So I'd like to talk to you about aesthetics. So thinking about the aesthetics sector, there used to be some degree of public stigma around aesthetics and wellness as well, but public attitudes appear to have been changing in recent years. So what has the impact of that been in terms of the investability and in terms of the growth and development of that sector?
Well, you're absolutely right. Stigma has really reduced across the whole of the aesthetic space, both here and abroad, more broadly as well. I think there's several contributing factors. One is obviously the growth of social media and the rise of the influencer in this space. Secondly is obviously much more activity directed by the manufacturers and those who are running the med spa sector in advertising and marketing their products and their services. And then I think the third thing is really consumer or patient acceptance of these kinds of services and treatments themselves. So folks really getting on board with the opportunity to explore different types of products and services, whether they be toxins, whether they be injectables more broadly, whether they be laser-based devices, so for example, laser hair removal.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. And I guess thinking then about, and obviously there's been growing private equity interest within this segment, as well as broader investor interest. So what sort of factors should an investor or potential investor consider when looking for opportunities within the segment?
Private equity have absolutely been focused on this sector for a few years now, whether that be more on the pharmaceutical manufacturing side or supply chain side, or indeed increasingly these days more on the clinic side, so on the provider side. We haven't quite seen the level of activity there for a number of reasons, more macroeconomic, but also because really the sector is at its infancy. It reminds me a lot of the typical evolutionary cycle that we see in private clinics. You know, if you think back to what was happening in the veterinary sector, for example, or in ophthalmology in some countries across Europe. So I think really over the next few years, you're going to see that ramp up. And if I were an investor in this space, I'd be looking at a number of key things. So firstly, obviously the revenue growth across the sector has been absolutely phenomenal. Second thing I'd be looking at is the ability of the brands to grow internationally and across borders. So really the scaling opportunity of different brands so that they can expand beyond just their core, beyond their core countries. And then the third thing I think I would be looking at is how far I would expect regulatory systems and frameworks to become harmonized across countries within the European continent.
Well, thank you. And I would like to move on, if that's okay, to innovation. So what innovations and what models do you see bringing the most disruption potentially to this segment over the next few years?
I think you can think about innovation in a number of different ways within the aesthetics sector. Firstly, obviously, is product innovation, and you can really see some very exciting, innovative new products hitting the markets, both from an injectables perspective, so those are the toxins and the fillers primarily, mesotherapies more broadly as well. And then within the energy-based devices segment, again, lots of innovation happening there. A second type of innovation that you can think about within this space is really the commercial model. So thinking about how to appropriately set up, scale, and then grow a provider network of clinics is something that many of the brands that we've been working with have really been thinking through. And then a third type of innovation in this space is really from the patient side. So there's been a lot of activity from patients or consumers themselves driving innovation in the way that they want to interact with brands. So obviously I'm talking here much more about the social media and more broadly kind of influencer space that tends to drive the demand side for innovation in the aesthetics sector.
Well, Adrienne, thank you so much, and thank you for your time today as well.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.